We are live! Yay!
Hello, hello.
I'm just so happy to be able to have a conversation, to have conversations where you don't have to censor yourself and talk about what's important to you is, for me, it's the gold. It's one of the most valuable things in my life. It really is. And how come I'm talking about that is we are going to have a conversation about X-Men. And X-Men covers all the different types of neurodivergence. I'm super ADD, highly functional autistic, and the capacities of the ADD and the autism I refused the most. Dr. Dane here says, you will resist what will create the greatest for you. And I resisted all the capacities behind the ADD. And so I am coming to Toronto. And and a friend of mine who you both know, Mary Case, messaged me this morning saying, you're doing an X-Men eventually. You're doing an X-Men class in Toronto. And I was like, yes. And so I'm doing an X-Men class, and it's called Are You Losing You in the Insanity Going On Around the World? Big topic, isn't it?
Massive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess an intro into this would be that X-Men, people who are highly energetic, how do you know you're highly energetic? You will become aware of what's going on with the person next to you. You'll walk into a room and you'll sense sadness, or you'll wake up on Good Friday and you'll sense like this like sad energy, you know? And so there are people who are very sensitive to energies, and they've made that a wrongness instead of a strongness. You're very aware of energies and you have a capacity to transform all energies. And so the topic, Are You Losing You in the Insanity Going On Around the World, is there's no separation in the way X-Men receive information. And so most people that are neurodivergent have not ever received the difference between what am I perceiving and what is my body having.
Wow. Yeah. When you said that, I just remembered before having the tools, like how I would be aware, not necessarily really realizing that I am aware of something. It's like, okay, and they'll be, oh, you're sensitive. It's like, great, and what do I do with this? It's like I just, yeah. It's like I perceive things, I get into a reaction, it gets into my body, and then I don't know, I literally don't know how to deal with that.
You've said, can I address two things you said? Because you've said two of the things that I see affect most people who are like really aware. And so when people say you're too sensitive, it's actually, it's projected at you from a way that you're judged, that you're wrong. Like, Rachel, you're sensitive, you know, because I don't understand sarcasm. And when people joke, I don't get it. So I was like, I don't get it. Oh, you're too sensitive. And usually it's said at people to make them wrong for their high sensitivity, instead of a celebration that you'd actually hear a needle in a haystack in another universe, you know, instead of celebrating your capacity to be present with energy. And then the second part you said, which was interesting, is that now I recognize what I'm aware of. And for me, just because what you have been aware of has been rejected and not received, that does not mean that you have to continue that cycle.
Yeah. Mic drop.
Live over.
Yeah. And so what occurs then for people that are really sensitive and really aware, instead of honoring what they're aware of, they dismiss it because everybody else has not received it, because it's so unique in its awareness. Yeah.
I have a question about that. Would you say the same applies when people say, oh, I'm an empath?
Yeah.
So I pick up everyone's feelings and I feel everyone's pain. And I've heard people talk about it almost like it's a disability, like I'm an empath, like I just pick up everyone's pain versus, wow, I'm highly aware and I just require some tools to navigate this awareness.
Welcome to the X-Men movement. Welcome to the Access X-Men movement. And so if you know, I'm an empath and I am a recovering empath, I am going to say that. And I have recovered really well. And now I'm not affected by the energies that would knock me out, you know? And so what Kieran is talking about is you feel the other person's feelings, you know, you take on their pain. And we have, in Access Consciousness, we talk about this as the fifth element, the unfulfilled, unsuccessful savior of mankind. And so now we have the tools with X-Men is a feeling cuts off your awareness. It is always a limitation. Energetically, what are you aware of? Oh, this person is sad. So you begin to recognize what you're having. Am I having that sad feeling or am I perceiving that? And then if I can perceive that by me choosing not to become that and choosing, oh yeah, this is a sensation, does it have it? Do I have to own it? And in that sensation, is it an energy that is true of the universe? No, it's not. Okay. So what choices in this 10 seconds have I available? What can I choose that's going to allow my energetic capacities, you know, have my psychic abilities with the universe, which is peace and ease. And, you know, Karen, the funniest thing in all this is that the people that I see that are highly empathic, they have massive capacities for kindness, peace, ease, contribution.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, you know, there are a lot of people who may watch this who have never taken an X-Men class. And if they're watching this going, does this apply to me? Is this a class I want to consider? Who would you say could or should consider this class? Since it is available in person and online, so it doesn't matter where in the world you are, you can join in. Who would you say could consider it? Or who might it, you know, help, for the lack of a better word?
Yeah. Let me know if my Wi-Fi is okay, because I'm pretty sure we have a bit of a storm here. So just let me know. So what I would say is, first of all, you know, do you think about someone and then they call you, you know? Or, you know, are you the person that children and animals, you know, go to? Are they trust you? They have this sense of, because for me, all my kids' friends would always come to my house and they're like, Rachel, you know? So like start to look at these, I'm going to say, aspects to your natural nature, you know, that I see Troy, who's my best friend, dogs just like, if he's walking down the street, dogs just follow him, you know? And then other things are like, do you get super bored? Or do you have so much thoughts in your head that they can't come through to your mouth, you know? Do you walk into a room and, you know, do you immediately pick up the energy in the room? Can you read the room? You know, there are so many people that have these abilities and they don't like receive them simply because someone has said to them at some point in their life, well, you can't do that. You shouldn't be able to do that. But they actually are. And the thing with X-Men, like, do you ever say the wrong thing at the wrong time?
Yes.
Like the thing you're not supposed to say, but we know we're addressing something, you know? And so just ask yourself the question, what will my life be like in 5 years if I attend this intro class? And I do also want to say this, we're going through a mutation of the species right now. And what that looks like is that consciousness, the earth is demanding of us to become more conscious. And so a lot of kids, I saw a kid yesterday and he's 11 weeks old and he looked like an old man and he's like sitting up looking around. A lot of kids coming into our world right now, and you guys are smiling because you know it's true. They have highly developed communication skills, you know, and it's been diagnosed as ADD, autism, Asperger's. And so all these diagnoses, there's no right or wrong. do they create a limitation of your receiving from this kid and asking what they know and what they're aware of, instead of going to the conclusion that there's something wrong with them and they have to become someone different? What is the gift in their difference, essentially? Yeah.
I love that. You summarized that so well. In my head, my checklist was going off. I'm like, yep, yes. Oh, yes, that too.
You know, years ago, Diva Diaz, she came to visit me in Ireland, and I was sitting at my kitchen table in the house, and Diva was doing some work. And I just thought in my head, I'd love some fish and chips. And chips in Ireland are fries, and they're made from potatoes, and they catch the fish from the sea, and they put like this batter on it. I was just like, oh, I'd love some fish and chips. And like 25 minutes later, my son, who was 14 at the time, came in and was like, Mom and Diva, I got you some fish and chips. You know, and Diva looked at me and she was like, do you get this? Like, that he can telepathically communicate, you know? And so, like, this is occurring in our world right now, that people have these abilities, you know, to communicate without even opening their mouths, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a gift to actually have tools to navigate that, whether you yourself have different capacities, whether somebody around you, your kid, partner, and just when I started learning those tools, it was such a different possibility that opened up for navigating my life on daily basis and not feeling wrong that there is something wrong with me because I'm sensitive or I'm aware of what is going on over there and that it is not mine and I know how to deal with that. So if people are interested, like the class
I know
is,
that what you just said, I know how to deal with that.
yeah, too. So
Yeah. Mm.
the class is going to be on April 26th in Toronto and online at 6:30
Yep.
in the evening, Eastern Daylight Time until 8. So you can join us either in person or online. We're going to leave the information down below. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us.
Yeah. And I would say the big thing for X-Men is a lot of the times they have like an emotion which they decide is bigger than life, you know, like a sadness or like this like emptiness or something like this. And it's not what the thing for me is what Kalina said is I now have tools to deal with this. And I would meet myself in places where I had like a decision that the insanity in the world and the emotion of we're losing something was bigger than life itself. And then with the tool, it was like, hey, Rachel, what are you aware of? And for me, I would say the golden key for X-Men is in the act of knowing what you are aware of, acknowledgement, because nobody has ever received us. So now you've got to be that additive consciousness to yourself. What am I aware of? And then acknowledging it, and then acknowledging what you're aware of is outside of you, and you don't have to have that you can put your psychic abilities through the trees, through the sky, through the baby lambs running around the fields at this time of year. And it just offers you a different choice. And this is really what this is.
How did we get so lucky to have tools to navigate something like this that, you know, has so much judgment around it, and this starts to undo that and change it. So whether it's, again, like Kalina said, someone you care about or yourself, you're like, oh, so it's not wrong. I don't have to fix it. I don't have to be normal. And now I can learn how to handle it and how to navigate it.
Totally. You know, my son is living in Toronto now, and he was one of the ones in Ireland, we say like a round peg fitting into a square hole. He just didn't fit in. And due to the tools and making choices, he has created a beautiful living, and he's created an amazing job, and he's creating his future. And so just because you don't fit in to the normal and average does not mean that you're wrong. Everywhere you think you're wrong, you're strong. There's things you know about the future that haven't even been created yet in our world. So it's just, I adore the X-Men information. I personally wouldn't be alive only for it, because I would have these like awarenesses of these big emotions. I'd be like, oh, and then it's like, okay, what are you aware of? Can you acknowledge that? And also what contribution you can be to our world beyond that emotion. What can you gift? And that can be like a body process, or just being with someone, and not just, and I say just, the biggest thing in this is being with someone. The natural ability of X-Men is to be with someone and not to judge them, and they start to flourish.
True.
Yeah. So what gift can you be to the X-Men in the world? Be that children, be it yourself, be it your sister, be it your grandchildren, so that you can receive their gift to you. What is the gift that X-Men have for you that you can receive through the education and the information in this class?
I love this conversation so much. I'm going to have to go back and re-listen.
Awesome. I can't wait. I'll be with you guys next Friday. Yoo-hoo! I'm so looking forward to it. And you can still jump on the Bodycast as well. And I highly suggest, if it's light for you to come to the X-Men class, come down with us, have a glass of Prosecco, have a chat, get to meet people that will be fun and ease in a no judgment space where you will be received for being you, and you will not be made wrong for your difference. Yay. Thanks, ladies. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.